Welcome to the AHSAA Weekly, your inside look at the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up this week, we're going to talk with AHSAA and Matt Johnson from the Reeltown Rebels. Eric is an Alabama All-Star on the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star Classic. His head coach is Matt Johnson. We'll talk Reeltown Rebel football coming up. Also on tonight's show, we've got two of the great volleyball coaches in the state of Alabama. We'll take you to the Crossplex in Birmingham, site of this week's Alabama High School Athletic Association State Volleyball Championships, as we speak with Schilling of Bayside Academy and also Kayla Woodard of Addison. Coming up tonight also, Kim Vickers from the Alabama High School Athletic Association staff talking with us tonight about publications and ebooks with the Alabama High School Athletic Association website page. Brandon Dean with the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association will be along. And we'll also talk with Laura Thomas, one of the outstanding young officials for volleyball in the state of Alabama. And of course, we'll have this week's WOTM Play of the Week. It's all coming up on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills? Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, we're going to talk now with a couple of folks representing one of the top 2A football programs in the state of Alabama, the Reeltown Rebels. We have the head football coach of the Reeltown Rebels with us, Matt Johnson, also one of his wide receivers who has also been selected to play the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star Classic on the Alabama team. We've got AHSAA with us. Guys, glad to have you with us tonight on the AHSAA Weekly.
We appreciate y'all having us.
I appreciate you.
All right, Eric, I'm going to begin with you. You are obviously one of the top players in the state of Alabama. You're a receiver mostly, but I think coaches got you play at a lot of positions there. Tell us about all the different positions you play at Reeltown.
I play a little fullback, wide receiver, the middle linebacker, outside linebacker. Them about the main position, though.
I know that you're probably going, we'll talk about your college selection in just a moment. I know that you're probably going as a wide receiver, but what's the favorite position to play out of all of those on offense and defense?
My favorite position to play is probably wide receiver on offense. Wide receiver / tight end.
Well, let's talk about your college selection. You're already committed to play for Will Muschamp and the South Carolina Gamecocks in the SEC. What was it about South Carolina? Obviously, a lot of folks recruiting you. What was it about South Carolina that made you pick the Gamecocks?
It really was just like the relationship with the coaches. Like me and Coach Bentley, like we bonded so much, over the time that we were talking. And then when I went down there, it was just like a perfect vibe for me. And I liked the way that they used me on offense. Like I liked the way they used their tight ends. So I just felt like it was a perfect fit.
Well, tell us about when you were selected to be on the Alabama team, especially coming from a 2A school, from a small school in a small town. Of all the thousands of football players that play high school football in the state of Alabama, for you to be selected to play on this prestigious Alabama team in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star Classic. What was that like when you received the news?
It was really like I was shocked when I first received the news. I think I seen it on Twitter. Like when I seen it, I was just in shock. Like I didn't know how to react. And then when I first figured out, I think I texted Coach Johnson. I sent him the screenshot of it. And I was like, Coach, did you know about it? He was like, he been knew. So he was just holding it from me. But man, it was crazy. I was just shocked, really.
Coach Johnson, well, I'll come to you right now. Talk about this young man, a phenomenal player, obviously. What's your perspective on this guy's talent?
Well, he's just got such a high ceiling. When you talk about talent and work ethic and leadership and a competitive spirit that he brings each and every day. I mean, you hear what he's saying. I mean, it's not just, for the camera or coaches talk or player talk. That's what he does every day. He brings that to the table. He's a leader by example, and he leads vocally, and that's the same way in the classroom, off the field. He's a great young man, but that's the biggest thing is his ceiling is so high because of his humility for what we've accomplished and what he's accomplished, and the opportunity that he sees to get better each and every day.
Coach, congratulations on a great season. Eric, congratulations on your selection to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star Classic and your commitment to the South Carolina Gamecocks. We want to thank both of you for being with us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Head coach of the Reeltown Rebels, Coach Matt Johnson, also Alabama-Mississippi All-Star wide receiver, or maybe he's going to play 4 or 5 positions down in Mississippi. We don't know. Eric Shaw, our guest this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. Ox Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
WOTM, your new TV home for high school sports in Alabama. This Thursday on WOTM, catch the AHSAA High School Football Game of the Week, presented by Ox Foundations. This week's matchup will feature the Pickens County Tornadoes versus the Gordo Green Wave. Stay with WOTM all 4 weeks of the playoffs. WOTM, the new home of AHSAA Super 7, live from Jordan-Hare.
What's lurking under your home? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions will help you with the best plan to keep your home safe. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, volleyball championships this week with Alabama High School Athletic Association at the Sportsplex in Birmingham, and a team that is no stranger whatsoever to being in the state volleyball championships, the Bayside Academy Admirals from Daphne down in Baldwin County. Let me just tell you, folks, there are dynasties and then there's Bayside Academy. There are legendary coaches and then there's Ann Schilling. And we are very pleased to be joined by the head volleyball coach of the Bayside Academy Admirals, Ann Schilling. Coach Schilling, so glad to have you with us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you. It's an honor for you to have me on.
Well, Coach, when we start talking about the credentials that you have, we'll begin 2018 inducted to the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame. But some amazing stats here. 27 state volleyball championships, including 17 in a row in 4 different classifications, in 1A, 2A, 3A, and in 4A. You're back in Birmingham chasing 28 in a row. Those, Coach, are absolutely incredible statistics.
Thank you. I owe it all to a lot of it to my God above, and just some great kids and great parents and administration that supports me. And I mean, that's basically it. I mean, it's just all the glory goes to him and my kids and my parents and my school.
When you win 27 championships, including 17 state championships, there is obviously a lot of pieces and ingredients that go into making a successful, not just a team year in and year out, but a successful overall program. And you may be the most successful sports program in the Alabama High School Athletic Association in any sport by these 27 state championships, including 17 in a row. What in your mind are the key ingredients?
You know, I think the kids really buy into what we've done, and you know, we have a lot of a ton of tradition in the program. You know, of course, they work extremely hard. You know, behind the scenes, they're working out in the mornings. You know, 3 days a week, and then once the season starts, we were working out 2 days a week. You know, from 6:15 to 7:15 in the morning. Then they're going to school and, you know, just taking on a heavy, rigorous academic load at our school. And, you know, just the sacrifice. We travel a lot during the season, play, you know, a lot of bigger teams. And you really get your weaknesses exposed playing those teams. So, you know, you can go back and work on those things. And I think all those things have really helped a ton. And just being able to perform under pressure.
When you've won 17 state championships in a row, some people would ask, does it ever get old? And I know what the answer is going to be. The answer is no as a competitor, because every team is different. But just going back in your mind and going back through the memories and so forth of all of these great teams, what are some things that maybe stand out to you over the years of these championship teams?
Oh my gosh, we've been on the brink of defeat. I mean, you know, I don't know what year it was, but Pam and I got into a knockdown drag out in the semis. I think that was in 2008, I want to say, where I think they had 7 or 8 match points on us, and we fought them off, and I don't even know how we won that, but you know, it could have ended, I think, after 7, and you know, and then there was, you know, a few years back, Lauren Chastain hits a ball down the line, you know, match point, or, you know, that one could have gone either way. There's been several that have been very, very, very close that we've been on the winning side of. And, you know, just, I can't even explain it. I mean, I have to look up a lot because, you know, I don't know. We've just been on the winning side of a lot of close matches, and you know, the kids have really handled pressure here well, which that's a huge part of it.
Coach, last year was a very special team. They're all special, but last year I think maybe even a little bit more special because they had to rally around you. You had maybe some health problems there, some challenges along the way. I would imagine last year was an extra special state championship.
It was, you know, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 4 breast cancer in February of 2018, and I was going through treatments, and we started spring practice, and they all had like a t-shirt on, and every treatment I had, they wore it, and there was only like 12 made, and it was special. They, you know, they just rallied around me, and it's never really been about me at all, but, you know, they just were very supportive. I probably was not 100% last year. I was probably more like 80, 75, maybe even a little bit less, and they were just perfect. I mean, they were really the perfect team, and I really feel like, you know, I had to, you know, I've been kind of been known to, I guess, be kind of intense, and I'm intense, and I don't like to lose, but God zapped me down a little bit last year, and I was a lot more pleasant, I think, for them to be around at times. So, you know, thankful for that. And I just don't think that they could have handled the other version of myself as a coach. So it was you know, it was pretty nice. So.
Coach, thank you so much for being with us and spending some time out of a busy schedule, I know. Look forward to watching your team at the Sportsplex there in Birmingham this week. And congratulations on another great season and being with us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Perhaps maybe the most successful public school volleyball program in the state of Alabama resides in Winston County in Addison, Alabama. The Bulldogs have won 11 state championships, and this lady right here, the coach, the head coach of the Addison Bulldogs volleyball team, has been a big part of most of those. Kayla Woodard is our guest here on AHSAA Weekly. Coach Woodard, glad to have you with us here on the show this week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You were telling me earlier you played at Addison, you were an assistant coach at Addison, and now you're the head coach at Addison. Walk us through that experience of being on virtually every side of that Addison volleyball program.
Oh, it's been super special. It's been really fun to make the transition. I didn't initially come out of college straight back home to Addison. I coached in Huntsville for a year and a half, and then a job came open back home, and I got to work under Coach Wilkins, who she's still helping me. Actually, we're worked well together, a good team. So it's been fun, just kind of making the transition from assistant and now to head coach. So.
Coach Woodard, you were 3-time state champion as a player at Addison, 2 years, as you mentioned, as an assistant coach under Pam Wilkins, and now you've won 4 state championships as the head coach at Addison. I would imagine, obviously, volleyball is a big deal in Addison and that community. What does the volleyball program and all these state championships mean in that community?
I think it's super special. I tell people all this all the time, like Addison is a special place. We're a super small town, one red light, but that's one thing that you can always count on is support. No matter volleyball, football, softball, any sport, you're always going to have support. But I just think with our program, the girls have, we have high expectations, obviously, and I think they always want to be like the team before, you know, like they want to be the one to win, and they see the pictures on the wall and the, you know, the paintings and things like that, and they that's motivation for them, and so it is super special. I think our town is just really good about supporting us no matter what, just always being there. Just like today when we left to come here, there was, you know, people standing outside on the side of the roads wishing us luck, and just in any way that they can, they're always there and cheering us on. So,
Coach Woodard, congratulations on another great season, and really the tradition that you have up there and the program you built up there and how you're leading those young ladies up in Winston County. And we thank you so much for your contributions to high school athletics here in the state of Alabama and for joining us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you so much.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Welcome back to the AHSAA Weekly. We take you to the AHSAA offices in Montgomery. Pleased to have with us for the first time on the show Kim Vickers. She is Assistant Director with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and she is in charge of publications. We're going to have an interesting talk with you tonight, Kim, I'm sure, about some new things coming up with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Welcome in. Glad to have you with us on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me on. It's an honor to be here.
Kim, your background, you came from Horseshoe Bend High School up in Newside to the Athletic Association, where you were a master English teacher. So obviously your background in print and publications is extensive, and you're doing a lot of great things with Athletic Association. Tell us how long you've been with the AHSAA and what some of your duties are with the Athletic Association.
Yes, John, I'd be glad to. I actually worked for 27 years as an English teacher and a coach, and was hired and came to work at the High School Athletic Association in January of 2015. So I'm about to celebrate my 5th year anniversary.
Kim, all the publications that for so many years, and I love these, I'm a great consumer of these publications, like the Fall Sports Handbook, which is now the Sports Handbook for all the sports, and the directory of all the schools in the state of Alabama. All those publications now are going to be what we call e-books and available online. Tell us about that transition to e-books.
Yes, sir. Well, we have just tried over the last couple of years to update our publication some, and as you mentioned earlier, one of the big steps we went to when I first took over in this position was to combine all of our sports books into one. So in the past we had 3 different books, for fall, winter, and spring, but now we have just the one where all sports are published at the same time, as well as the directory and the handbook are all released during July of the upcoming school year. One of the things that we are doing to advance our publications into the 21st century is to make them more easily accessible to our member schools and also to the public. In the past, we have, of course, printed these books in hard copies and provided those to the schools, and also provided a PDF version of the books online that anyone could download. This year, we've added 2 more options. One is a texting format where anyone can text a specific number and receive a copy of the handbook or the sports book. And then 2, we've added an ebook link on our website so that individual schools or anyone, general public, etc., can have easy access to these books.
We invite folks to go to AHSAA.com, a great website, great information there. Everything you need to know about high school athletics in the state of Alabama is at the website. Kim, thank you so much for the work that you're doing with publications with the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it, and we appreciate your support.
Kim Vickers is Associate Director with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, is in charge of publications. We'll be back with more of the AHSAA Weekly.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
This is the AHSAA Weekly. We take you now to Montgomery. We are going to speak this week with Brandon Dean. He is the Assistant Director for the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, and we're glad to have Brandon with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly. Brandon, welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
You came to the Alabama High School Athletic Association from your role as Athletic Director for Montgomery Public Schools. How long have you been with the Athletic Association? What's your chief role with the Athletic Directors and Coaches Association?
I have been here for 1 year and 3 months. I started in June of 2018, and I really enjoyed my time here so far. To be able to learn and grow with my colleagues day to day has been a blessing to me. My role here is to help our coaches and ADs across the state to develop as professionals in their day-to-day activities. The word coach has so much meaning to it. Whether you go to a grocery store, a church, or a mall, you can always be seen as a coach to student athletes. So it's my job and my colleagues' job to help these coaches understand the impact they have every day on student athletes they come in contact with.
How do you help coaches and athletic directors from schools across the state, that professional development, that extra development that we talk about, how do you go about doing that?
Well, during the year, we have 11 mini clinics for our coaches. We have one per sport. We want to bring in a college coach to come in and talk about things such as building a program, making a practice schedule, game management, and things of that nature. To have a college coach come in and pour into our high school coaches means a lot to our high school coaches. So that's our main focus of our coaches, to develop them as professionals day to day.
Brandon, thank you so much for the job that you are doing with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, and we're pleased to have you with us this week on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you for having me.
Brandon Dean is the Assistant Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association. More of the AHSAA Weekly when we come back.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price, guaranteed. If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
WOTM, your new TV home for high school sports in Alabama. This Thursday on WOTM, catch the AHSAA High School Football Game of the Week, presented by Ox Foundations. This week's matchup will feature the Pickens County Tornadoes versus the Gordo Green Wave. Stay with WOTM all 4 weeks of the playoffs. WOTM, the new home of AHSAA Super 7, live from Jordan Hare.
Things feeling a little uneven at home? Ox Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. Locally owned and accredited, Ox Foundation Solutions will come up with the right fix for you. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
This is the AHSAA Weekly. A big focus this week, of course, the state volleyball championships taking place at the Birmingham Crossplex. We're going to take you there right now with one of the young and up-and-coming officials in volleyball in the state of Alabama. Laura Thomas joins us from Birmingham this week. Laura, glad to have you with us on AHSAA Weekly.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Laura, now you are a Texan. You grew up in Abilene, Texas. Tell us about growing up, because you played a lot of sports, volleyball being one of those. Tell us about your high school playing career.
Yeah, so I played varsity 3 years for volleyball, and then I lettered in other sports as well. But volleyball was definitely a passion of mine. I always say growing up in a small town in Texas, there's nothing else to do but play sports. So that's what I did.
And you played those very well. Now tell us about, how do you get from Abilene, Texas to Tuscaloosa, Alabama?
Well, I have been blessed with some career opportunities, and I work in collegiate recreation at the University of Alabama. I moved to Tuscaloosa for the position. I have been in collegiate recreation for the last 10 years as a professional, and I've moved all over the country, and I have the opportunity to live in the Deep South for the first time, so it's been an adventure. I moved here back in January of 2018, so it's almost been 2 years.
You know, one of the things that's unique about you is you've only been in this officiating for a couple of years now, and already, just 2 years in, you're already officiating state championships and regionals and things like that. That is a big jump in a quick amount of time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I have been, again, blessed with some opportunities. It's always nice to see your hard work and dedication pay off with an opportunity like state or super regionals work. I have been around sports most of my life, and so the sports aspect is not new, but officiating the side of things, like you said, this is only my second full season. So I have been, I guess it's interesting to see a new perspective on sports. All of the officials that I've worked with at super regionals or throughout the season have just been so nice and welcoming and encouraging because, you know, sometimes when you get up there and you're a little nervous, they've been encouraging to just officiate my game and remember that it's just volleyball and there's nothing to be nervous about. So it's been such a great experience for me, and I hope to continue, well, not only this year, but then in future years as well.
Laura, what was it about officiating, and specifically volleyball officiating? What was it that kind of drew you into that?
I have a very deep passion for the sport of volleyball. I still play it recreationally. I just love it so much. Let's see. I also train officials in my day job at the University of Alabama, and so that aspect of everything is still very important to me. I see it every day with the working with the young student officials, and so I'm able to encourage them to get involved in high school sports through the AHSAA, SAA, and so I encourage them daily, but then to kind of stand in the mirror and encourage myself to get involved and to continue to develop my skills was another reason why I chose volleyball.
Well, Laura, as fans from across the state of Alabama descend on Birmingham and the Bill Harris Arena for the state volleyball championships, I'm sure they'll be looking for you this week. We'll be looking for you and some great volleyball at the state championships coming up this week in Birmingham. Thank you for joining us on the AHSAA Weekly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Laura Thomas, one of the great officials that will be a part of the Alabama High School Athletic Association State Volleyball Championships this week in Birmingham. We'll be back with more of the AHSAA Weekly in just a moment.
Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24? It is also one of the leading causes of preventable death in our nation. It is time we all start to talk more about youth suicide and how we can change these statistics. My name is Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama, and I'm working with the Jason Foundation and the AHSAA to address this serious national health issue. Visit jasonfoundation.com to learn what you can do to help prevent youth suicide.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, time for this week's WOTM Play of the Week, and it is a dandy, a 54-yard field goal on the last play of regulation by Sylacauga in their home matchup with the Munford Lions. Here's the call with Bruce Carr and Harold Drummonds.
Here's the snap. The kick is up. It's good!
It's good!
Oh my God! 54 yards!
Oh, my goodness.
To tie it up and to go to overtime.
Wow, Cole Porch.
It means everything, you know. Having guys that won't back down at all, talking to them before the game and during the game, just that kick means everything.
Wrapping up this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly, we have a special program coming across the AHSAA affiliates across the state of Alabama. This coming Saturday morning, we are going to have a football playoff unveiling live from the AHSAA offices in Montgomery. I'll be there along with Josh Bean from AL.com. We will unveil the football playoff brackets in classes 1A through 7A and break down the Alabama High School Athletic Association state football playoffs coming up in November and December. And coming up this week across the state, it's the last week of the regular season of high school football, the state volleyball championships, and much more. We'll see you back here next week.